Isolated by the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, an archipelago of over 14,000 islands stretches along the eastern edge of Asia. This is Japan, a land of dramatic contrasts where active volcanoes pierce the sky, deep forests blanket the mountains, and cherry blossoms fall like snow. For centuries, this geographical isolation nurtured a culture unlike any other, a civilization that learned to harmonize with the unpredictable forces of nature, balancing a profound respect for tradition with an unstoppable drive for innovation. According to ancient Shinto mythology, recorded in the Kojiki, Japan's oldest historical record, the islands were created by the divine drops of water falling from the spear of the creator gods, Izanagi and Izanami. From them came Amaterasu, the sun goddess whose descendants are said to be the unbroken line of Japanese emperors. But the true story of Japan, written in the earth and passed down through millennia, is a tale of human resilience, brutal conflicts, profound isolation, and miraculous rebirth. This is the story of Nippon, the land of the rising sun. Human history in Japan begins in the shadows of the Ice Age, over 30,000 years ago. As the ice retreated, the islands were cut off from the Asian mainland. Here, the Jōmon people thrived. Named for the distinct cord-marked patterns on their pottery, the Jōmon were a complex hunter-gatherer society. They created some of the oldest pottery in human history, their villages thriving in the rich coastal and forest environments for thousands of years. But the trajectory of Japan changed forever around 300 BCE with the arrival of the Yayoi culture. Migrants from the Asian mainland crossed the sea, bringing with them a revolutionary technology: wet rice cultivation. Rice transformed everything. It required cooperation, permanent settlements, and water management. Society became stratified. Wealth was measured in grain, and the first true tribal leaders emerged. Along with rice came metallurgy. Bronze and iron tools and weapons began to shape the land and its people. By the 3rd century AD, powerful clans emerged, leading to the Kofun period. This era is defined by massive, keyhole-shaped burial mounds built for the elite. The largest of these, the tomb of Emperor Nintoku in Osaka, rivals the pyramids of Egypt in scale. It was during this time that the Yamato clan gradually consolidated power, establishing the imperial lineage that continues to this day. Japan was beginning to unify, looking across the sea to the great empires of China and Korea for inspiration. The introduction of the Chinese writing system, and more importantly, Buddhism in the 6th century, sparked a cultural revolution. With Buddhism came a wave of Chinese influence. Japanese emissaries traveled to the Tang dynasty, bringing back knowledge of architecture, law, and philosophy. In 710 AD, Japan built its first permanent capital at Nara, modeled entirely after the Chinese capital of Chang'an. However, the true golden age of classical Japan blossomed in 794, when the capital moved to Heian, modern-day Kyoto. Thus began the Heian period, an era of unprecedented peace and cultural brilliance that lasted for nearly 4 centuries. During the Heian period, the imperial court became obsessed with aesthetics, poetry, and refined beauty. Life in the court was highly stylized. Nobles wore elaborate silk robes with up to 12 layers, their status dictated by the subtle color combinations they wore. It was a world where a cleverly written poem could advance a career, and bad handwriting was considered a moral failing. It was women who drove the literary achievements of this era. Because official court documents were written in complex Chinese, noble women used the newly developed Japanese script, kana, to write personal diaries and stories. Among them was Murasaki Shikibu, a lady-in-waiting who authored the tale of Genji in the early 11th century. Often considered the world's first novel, It offers a deeply psychological and romantic window into court life. But while the nobles in Kyoto were busy writing poetry and viewing cherry blossoms, they were neglecting the provinces. To collect taxes and maintain order, the court relied on provincial land managers. These men began to arm themselves to protect their estates. Slowly, quietly, a new class was rising in the countryside. The age of the poet was ending. The age of the warrior was about to begin. By the late 12th century, the elegant world of the Heian court was shattered by the Jinpei War, a brutal 5-year conflict between two powerful warrior clans, the Taira and the Minamoto. The sea turned red with blood at the final naval battle of Don no Ura in 1185, where the Minamoto emerged victorious. Their leader, Minamoto no Yoritomo, seized absolute control. He did not become emperor. Instead, he took the title of shogun, the supreme military dictator. The emperor remained in Kyoto as a divine, but powerless figurehead. Real power shifted to the shogun's military government in Kamakura. This marked the beginning of Japan's feudal era. The farmers grew the rice, but the men who controlled the land with the sword now ruled the nation. These were the samurai. To be a samurai was not merely a profession, it was a way of life, bound by a strict, unwritten code later known as Bushido, the way of the warrior. A samurai was expected to master the martial arts from the yumi, the asymmetrical longbow, to horsemanship. But their soul resided in their sword, the katana. Forged by a master craftsman folding steel hundreds of times, the katana was a weapon of terrifying sharpness and breathtaking beauty. Bushido demanded absolute loyalty to one's feudal lord, or daimyo. Honor was valued far above life itself. If a samurai failed his lord, or brought shame upon his name, there was only one path to redemption: seppuku, a grueling and highly ritualized act of taking one's own life. The strength of these elite warriors was put to the ultimate test in the late 13th century. Kublai Khan, ruler of the Mongol Empire, demanded Japan's submission. When Japan refused, the Mongols launched two massive armadas in 1274 and 1281 against overwhelming numbers and gunpowder weapons they had never seen before. The samurai fought desperately on the beaches of Kyushu, but Japan's greatest defense came from the sky. On both occasions, apocalyptic typhoons devastated the Mongol fleets, drowning tens of thousands of invaders. The Japanese called these divine winds kamikaze, believing the gods themselves had intervened to protect the sacred islands. Yet, the cost of defending the nation bankrupted the Kamakura Shogunate. Without new lands to reward the samurai, loyalty fractured. Japan plunged into the Sengoku Jidai, the age of warring states. For over a century and a half, starting in the late 1400s, Japan was a theater of endless, bloody chaos. It was an era of constant betrayal, shifting alliances and massive castle sieges. Powerful daimyo fought ruthlessly to conquer the capital and claim the title of shogun. In the shadows of this conflict emerged the shinobi, or ninja, covert agents who specialized in espionage, sabotage, and assassination, performing the dishonorable tasks that the samurai code forbade. The endless warfare only began to end with the arrival of three visionary but ruthless leaders. First was Oda Nobunaga, a brilliant tactician who embraced newly arrived European firearms to devastate his rivals. Rule the empire by force was his motto. After Nobunaga was betrayed, his loyal general Toyotomi Hideyoshi, a man born as a lowly peasant, avenged him. Hideyoshi unified the islands through diplomacy and force, famously confiscating all weapons from the peasantry to ensure no other peasant could rise against him. But it was the third unifier who would claim the ultimate prize: Tokugawa Ieyasu. A master of patience and cunning, Ieyasu waited for his moment. In the year 1600, on the foggy battlefield of Sekigahara, he won the most decisive battle in Japanese history. The age of warring states was over. The era of the Tokugawa Shogunate had begun. To ensure his dynasty would survive, Tokugawa Ieyasu moved the capital to a small fishing village called Edo, which we now know as Tokyo. The Tokugawa Shogunate established a strict social hierarchy, samurai at the top, followed by farmers, artisans, and finally, merchants at the bottom. To prevent rebellion, the shogun implemented a hostage system, forcing the regional daimyo to spend alternate years in Edo, leaving their families behind as leverage. But perhaps the most drastic measure was sakoku, the locked country policy. Fearing the destabilizing influence of European colonizers and the spread of Christianity, Japan closed its doors to the outside world in the 1630s. For over 2 centuries, no Japanese could leave, and barely any foreigners could enter. While the rest of the world experienced the Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution, Japan lived in a time capsule of peace. This long period of stability led to an economic boom. Because the samurai had no wars to fight, many became bureaucrats. Cities expanded. In the cities, a vibrant middle-class culture emerged, known as ukiyo, or the floating world. Despite being at the bottom of the social ladder, merchants grew wealthy. They spent their money in entertainment districts, patronizing kabuki theater, geisha houses, and sumo wrestling. This era gave birth to ukiyo-e, the famous woodblock prints featuring beautiful women, kabuki actors, and breathtaking landscapes, such as Hokusai's iconic Great Wave off Kanagawa. Japan was at peace, but it was a peace built on isolation, and the outside world was knocking on the door. In July 1853, 4 ominous black-hulled steamships sailed into Edo Bay. They were American warships commanded by Commodore Matthew Perry. The Americans delivered an ultimatum: open your ports to trade or face military force. Seeing the massive cannons and advanced technology of the West, the shogunate realized they could not win. They signed unequal treaties, plunging Japan into an existential crisis. The proud samurai realized their swords were useless against Western guns. In 1868, a rebellion overthrew the Tokugawa Shogunate and restored practical power to the young Emperor Meiji. This was the Meiji Restoration, an event that triggered the most rapid and dramatic transformation of any nation in human history. The new government adopted a simple, urgent motto: rich country, strong army. Japan dismantled its feudal system. The samurai class was abolished. The government imported Western experts to build railways, telegraph lines, and modern factories. They established a constitution, a modern banking system, and a conscript army outfitted with modern rifles. In a matter of decades, Japan went from a medieval, isolated society to a fully industrialized global power. To prove their strength, they expanded their territory, winning stunning victories against the Chinese Empire in 1895 and shocking the globe by defeating the Russian Empire in 1905. Japan had become the undisputed master of Asia. The early 20th century saw Japan plunge further into militarism, fueled by a need for raw materials to feed its booming industries and a belief in its divine right to rule Asia. The military took control of the government. In the 1930s, Japan invaded Manchuria and subsequently mainland China, leading to devastating conflict. Facing embargoes from the West, Japan made a fateful decision. On December 7, 1941, the Imperial Japanese Navy launched a surprise attack on the U.S. Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor, pulling the United States into World War II. For a time, Japan's expansion seemed unstoppable, capturing territories across Southeast Asia and the Pacific. But the industrial might of the Allies eventually turned the tide. By 1945, Japan's cities were being reduced to ashes by relentless firebombing campaigns. Then, in August of 1945, human history entered a terrifying new chapter. The United States dropped atomic bombs on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Days later, facing total annihilation and a Soviet invasion, Emperor Hirohito addressed the nation over the radio, announcing Japan's unconditional surrender. The empire was gone. The cities were ruined. The economy was shattered. It seemed as though Japan's story had come to a tragic end. Yet, from the radioactive ashes of defeat, Japan rose again. Under an American occupation, Japan adopted a new pacifist constitution, renouncing the right to wage war. The nation channeled its relentless discipline and work ethic entirely into rebuilding. What followed is known as the Japanese economic miracle. Through close cooperation between government and industry, a highly educated workforce, and a focus on high-quality manufacturing, Japan rapidly became an economic superpower. Companies like Toyota, Sony, and Honda became global household names. By the 1980s, Japan boasted the second-largest economy in the world, renowned for cutting-edge electronics and reliable automobiles. Today, Japan stands as a fascinating paradox. It is a nation of hyper-modern neon cities, bullet trains, and advanced robotics, yet it remains deeply rooted in its ancient traditions. A businessman might work a grueling day in a Tokyo skyscraper, only to return home, visit a serene Shinto shrine, and partake in a centuries-old tea ceremony. Japan's cultural influence, its anime, manga, cuisine, and video games, has captivated the entire world, establishing it as a superpower of soft power. The story of Japan is a testament to the endurance of the human spirit. It is a story of a people who, shaped by the fierce forces of nature and the violent tides of history, learn to adapt, to innovate, and to find beauty in the fleeting moments of life. From the ancient Jōmon potters to the modern engineers of tomorrow, the land of the rising sun continues to shine brilliantly on the world stage.